It's the Office Journal on Smooth 98.1. If you check your time, you'll know that it's 11 o'clock. Well, if you have not checked your time, right now I think it's a minute past 11 o'clock, and you're welcome. On Tuesdays, it means 11 o'clock is for Office Journal from 11 to 11:50, of course, with some breaks in between. And we discuss everything relating to workplace issues, workplace, sometimes workplace etiquette, sometimes things related to your personal development, career, and of course, your personal development goals, to everything that you can accommodate that once you think about workplace, it comes to your mind. Yes, that's what we discuss here on Office Journal, here on Smooth 98.1. My name is Oluwaseun, and always, well, so for a better part of it, my voice is what you listen to. So this morning, like I mentioned earlier, you would have seen the flyer on our Instagram page. We are discussing workplace slavery, modern day slavery in some terms, and how that comes to be, especially when it concerns foreign owned business. And I will not be doing that alone because I am not a legal luminary, or I'm not a learned fellow, in the words of the experts, the ones at the bar. So I have someone who's very experienced in that field, who talks a lot about different things relating to law, and he writes on different articles on different topics that are sometimes related to maritime and economic development and many things really. So you can find him. I'll tell you later on how you can find his articles and where he shares his experience and wealth of knowledge. But for now, we're talking about workplace and the laws that govern, that protect Nigerians from foreign business exploitation. So my guest is the principal partner at Bailey Myers LP, which is formerly Femi Ojumu and co-barristers and solicitors. I believe I'm correct. His name is Femi D. Ojumu. Good. Oh, Esquire, please forgive me for omitting that. So his name is Femi D. Ojumu Esquire. Good morning.
A very good morning to you, and thank you for having me. Thanks.
Thank you for being my guest, making it in time. Oh, he made it in very early, and I appreciate that. So let's get started. I'd like to always start with a definition so that we're very clear on what we're talking about and the context is well created. So we're talking about protecting Nigerians from exploitation, but I realize that we can't really separate exploitation and workplace slavery. So that's why we're starting with workplace slavery. What exactly does it have a definition in clear terms? And if it does, how would you define workplace slavery?
Thanks very much, Oluwaseun. The starting point really is there is no all-encompassing definition for workplace slavery, but slavery essentially includes inhuman, inhuman treatment, torture, unethical practices, shoddy behavior, racial abuse, and acts which border on criminality. All of those would constitute workplace slavery. But it could be wider than that, but I think those are some of the fundamentals of
Okay.
workplace slavery.
Well, let me explore a bit of your experience as a legal practitioner. So, how often do you see these issues related to workplace slavery in 2023?
Um, in practice, I have had to represent some clients in labor disputes, sometimes foreign clients, and there have been some interesting matters which we've had to deal with at the courts, at the National Industrial Court. But aside from actual practice, I've also been involved in cases of actual child slavery where, there's been child labor, which the International Labour Organization defines as any act which negates the capacity of a young person to fulfill their potential and to meet their physical and emotional development. And a young person is defined as anybody under the age of 18. So they can't leave their childhood. And you see cases where there's child trafficking, child labor, and really outrageous practices, which is totally unacceptable. And of course, it's against the law.
Hmm. Okay, I was going to ask something related to exploitation, but before I go back to that,
Yes.
how how would you describe Nigerians their knowledge of the law, especially the ones that affects them, that speaks to their rights? Because with the things you have said, I don't know how many people can actually up and go to the court or file for some I don't know, protection now. How well aware of Nigerians are when it concerns laws that govern maybe labor laws, for instance, since that's the context of what we're discussing?
Yes.
What's their knowledge? How would you gauge the knowledge of Nigerians on labor laws?
First, I think that's a fantastic question. I think the knowledge of a lot of Nigerians is variable at best. It is scatty, and you really need a lot of sensitization on the topic. And I think the implication of what I'm saying is that there are lots of organizations who can help in this department and which are helping, including the likes of the Nigeria Bar Association. There's pro bono activities by various law firms, and a lot of non-governmental organizations are quite active in that space. So the issue is we need to see more of that. And there's also a case for government and the youth departments of the various governments, be it federal and state, to build capacity, to raise awareness, because it's a live issue. It is criminal, it is wrong, and needs to be tackled and tackled now.
Hmm. So if a person, just to be sure, if a person wants to be aware of the laws that are protecting their right as a worker in Nigeria, is there a site? Is there somewhere they can easily go to access these things? Because I speak also as a Nigerian. It was in the course of gathering fact and my points for this or making research that I started finding out some things. And the truth is, I think some part of the law, the labor law, it needs an overhaul.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I mean, the laws are accessible. Most, if not all of them, are online. But the question is, how many Nigerians have access to the internet? There's an issue about digital inclusion, accessibility, websites, and there's a very practical and real issue as to how many Nigerians can really afford to buy data. I know it sounds very simplistic, but it's a live issue. And sometimes when you can afford to buy data, there's a problem with the other side, with your internet service provider, technological issues. But in terms of accessibility, virtually all those laws are online, they can be accessed. But the question is, who is going to do the signposting? How do people, how do youngsters, how do adults know their rights? How do they know where to find? And that begs the question as to what we're doing or not doing on raising greater awareness with regards to this fundamental issue.
Thank you. The part you mentioned, how do they know their rights? And in my head, I'm thinking, are their rights actually respected? Because it's one thing for you to know your rights, it's another for the right to be taken into consideration and not even be trampled right in front of you by someone who's well aware. Because sometimes let me not go there. So we'll take a break, and when we come back we will start to get practical with some of those things that actually make people sign off their rights. Because when you get real, you look at the current economic situation, some people who are, they just need a job, they just need something to bring in money for them, and in the course of trying to get a job that will bring in some money for them, they do not read the fine print and they get into unintentional slavery. So we talk about all those conditions and those markers too, that when you get to a workplace and they tell you some things, maybe the red flags that you should run away from. Well, sometimes the flag is not very red, it's a bit orange. So we talk all about that, and it's okay for you to join the conversation. You can send your WhatsApp messages to 0809-444-0981. You're listening to Office Journal here on Smooth 98.1.
World-class station.
Okay, so the first break is
Yeah?
cool,
Okay.
cool framing.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first break is about 5
5
minutes.
minutes, okay.
Yeah,
Can
so
I
you see
grab
why
some
we couldn't
water?
do. Oh yeah, I could get one
Ladies
for you.
and gentlemen,
I
I
didn't
want to
remember to
ask,
bring that.
when was the last time you laced up your sneakers, you got physical, and felt the sweat pouring? Did you go walking? Did you take it a notch higher by going jogging? Or perhaps running? Well, I've got something to tell you. The 8th edition of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon is coming up on the 4th of February. Now, there are loads of exciting prizes up for grabs, so gear up, lace up those sneakers, and hit the road. If you're a fitness buff who absolutely loves the high intensity marathon, you can actually take part in the 42-kilometer marathon race. Or if you're starting out and you want something perhaps not so intense, there's the option of a 10-kilometer race for you. Now, the 10-kilometer race starts at the Grace Court Events Place in Durosimi Eti Lekki Phase 1, and the 42-kilometer race, for the buffs of course, will start at the National Stadium in Surulere. You know how it goes. It's always a massive event, and this time, once again, it's going to be an event that you will not forget in a hurry. So remember, there are three things that you need to do though. One, believe in yourself. Two, keep pushing. And three, do not ever give up. Now, I know that you can't wait to be a part of it. You're going to go the extra mile, cross the finish line, and be on your way to victory. Yes, it's a marathon, and yes, it's organized to promote health and fitness, but there's also the added benefit of highlighting athletic talents within Africa and showing them to the world. So, what are you waiting for? Yes, you. This is your chance to win the ultimate prize, meet amazing people, support charity, or just have a plain old good time. While your preparations are ongoing, you can find more information about the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon at www.accessbankplc.com/marathon. Are you ready to run? Let's go make this marathon a day to remember.
Smooth 98.1.
Whenever I tell people I'm a full-time master student and a content creator, they go, huh? How are you able to do both all at once? You bewitch? No be juju. Na MTN 5G. Ever since 5G came into my life, I've been on cloud 9. I get to take my classes online in real time and upload my videos before you say Jack Robinson. Even Dave isn't left out. Our long distance is waxing strong.
Hello, babe. Can you hear me? Your finger is frozen. It came.
We don't do that here, because life is a breeze.
Experience the wonders of MTN 5G. Hyper-fast internet connection with no buffering, zero lag, and quality data capabilities like never seen before. No bijuju, not MTN 5G. Now available on iPhone. MTN. What are we doing today?
Hey, dude, what's up? Whoa, dude, you look tired.
I didn't dress well. The heat, eh?
Hey, did I have this nightmare?
I just saw
Sorry.
the sign saying
My
no
sweat.
food or drinks in the studio.
Yeah, so
Don't worry if you don't have any.
no, okay, so the issue why it took me long was I wanted to get you bottled water because we can't have cup any of it
Don't
in the
worry.
studio.
Oh,
So a person has gone to get the bottled water.
okay.
When
Yeah, we'll just crack on.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Energy, no matter the number of people in the room. This is in addition to its low
Okay,
noise,
so we've
40%
got about
fast cooling, and a
57
dual
minutes
inverter
to go.
compressor with a 10-year
Okay.
warranty. It simply takes away the stress so you can rest.
With the hot weather upon us, it seems you'll be having.
It's
way
my
more
first radio
nightmares, man.
interview ever. I've done lots of television
Really?
interviews.
Yeah.
but
I've watched some of
I
that.
was like, oh,
But radio, I prefer radio to
it's
TV.
interesting.
Yeah. You just get to be anonymous.
Internet connection for less.
It's time to go big in the
Okay.
Airtel Home Broadband all-time mega offer.
It's time to take advantage in the Airtel Home Broadband all-time mega offer. Get a MiFi with up to 125 gigabyte bonus data for just 5,000 naira, or router with up to 240 gigabyte bonus data for just 10,000 naira. Visit any Airtel shop or www.airtel.com.ng/HBB now.
Airtel, the smartphone network. Smooth 98.1. It just feels good.
What feels good is reading your thoughts and your messages, and it is always welcome, actually. So please be a part of what we are discussing. But what are we discussing? Workplace slavery, protecting Nigerians first, knowing for them to know their right, and also protecting them from foreign-owned business exploitation. We're yet to get into that, but we will soon do that. So if you have been a part of the foundation we laid earlier on, you can send in your WhatsApp messages or maybe call 014489981. Again, 014489981. And then you can send your WhatsApp messages to 0809444091. I'm starting to get your messages. We will get to them, definitely answer your questions if you have any. If you have your thoughts and opinions, we'll definitely read them out. We just need to establish some few things. So we have laid up the groundwork, like I mentioned, about what workplace slavery can entail. And I think, I'm not sure we define in clear terms what exploitation might constitute. So, oh, by the way, my guest is Femi D. Ojumu Esq, and he is the principal partner at Balliol Myers LP. So, in clear terms, what will exploitation in any workplace, either foreign owned or Nigerian owned, what will it constitute?
Thanks for that, Oluwaseun. Exploitation is simply defined as taking undue advantage of a person. And that could come in very many different forms. For example, getting somebody to work outside the terms of contract. For example, working exceedingly long hours. You're not providing a safe and conducive environment for them to operate. You're engaging in sharp practices in the employment place. You're engaging in unethical practices. It is vast, it is huge. It all falls within the confines of exploitation.
It looks like many people have so many things to say about this from the messages I am getting. I didn't think we were going to get into the comments this early, but maybe we should try because it's about the people listening. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and location?
My name is Joey. I'm calling from Lekki. Mr. Femi would know me as DJ Donimon.
Good morning, DJ Donny Moss.
I would like to contribute to your discussion.
Please
Please,
go
yes.
ahead.
Apart from the Nigerian Labour Organization, we have other institutes that can assist. Like, as an HSC professional, I know that most companies should have an HSC department. Now, there's something called workplace harassment, whereby anybody going to work and doesn't feel comfortable going to work, fear and everything constitutes harassment. Now, that is where the fight should start. What is this Institute of Safety Professional? What are they doing? What are all those people doing? In other times, these are very strong institutes that can fight for the rights of people. Shut down a workplace and then even take them to court. But in Nigeria, all we are getting is just to have certificates and doing nothing to help the fight of people. So yes, we have to start from the organization, ensure that all of them have safety, health safety and environmental departments.
Thank you.
And monitor the progress and the health of to help the workers in the workplace. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. You can keep them coming actually to 014489981. Thank you for sharing, DJ Donny Moss. Thank you for calling. So you can also call 014489981 and you can send your WhatsApp messages to 0809444091. Would you like to give a comment on that?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for that, DJ Donny Moss. You make a very valid point. There's the need for proactive, emphasis on the word proactive, action by organizations and health and safety. And I'll just give a quick example, if I may, Oluwaseun.
Yes, please.
Globally, in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a shift in working practices. You know, lots of people working from home, and businesses are remaining profitable in the main. In other words, they're taking full advantage of technology and using that to its full potential. In a situation whereby a business has serious financial issues, they're not able to break even because of their existing business model. For example, paying very high rents. Remote working affords the opportunity for a win-win, not just for the business owner, but for staff themselves. They can work at a time and a place which is suitable for them. They can exercise choice. They're more productive. And on the flip side, the business is able to reduce its overheads. But on health and safety, I agree completely that there must be action, real action by organizations across the board to ensure that it is real, not just in law, but in practice. The execution of those laws must be visible and tangible.
Okay, I'm looking at the way the conversation is going, and I feel we will not have enough time to actually drill down to the basics. So, what I want to do now is, in the case of someone, if you know you're being exploited or you know something is definitely not right with your workplace and you'd like to call the attention, or maybe there are some people who you are saying that they are being exploited or they are in some sort of workplace slavery. If you'd like to call the attention of maybe a government body or an organization that is supposed to help them, who do you reach out to? Which body do you reach out to say something is going on in this workplace? I cannot help myself. We need help. What are those bodies?
Okay. The starting point must be the Ministry of Labor in the state department and the federal government. And then you're going to talk to the ministry responsible for environmental welfare and safety, those two organizations, because if it touches on health and safety, it's the Department for Environmental Services that's going to be responsible for that. If it's in relation to overall labor practice, it's the Federal Ministry of Labor and Productivity that's going to be responsible for that. And if it touches on the environment, because that also could be a source of slavery, where people are exposed, for example, to toxic pollution. So the relevant Department for Environment would be responsible for that. But I would also suggest to anyone, if you've got a complaint in that department, in addition to those organizations at state level, just write directly to the state governor. And the state governor would determine how best to cascade that to the relevant departments, right? To the state governor, who's an elected representative of the people. I know.
I'm tempted to say now, let's get real, because I see people who earn about 30,000 to 40,000 as factory workers. And I don't know how those people can write and reach out to the labor organization or to the Ministry of Labor to help them. So that's why I said, what do you do? First, okay, casual staffing.
Yes.
I don't want to say, do you think it's a possible cause of exploitation? Because I think it gives room for exploitation. But first, let me take your thought on that. Would you say casual staffing actually creates that room for exploitation? You see factory workers, you see how they have to work more than 12 hours sometimes just for them to be able to get some thousands of naira per month. So would you say it fully, in your thoughts now, would you say it gives that room for exploitation, especially by those businesses who have their factories here in Nigeria?
Again, that's a very interesting question. And before I answer that question, I will like us to establish the basics. We live in an age of less work, and we've got to be real about this. The advent of technology has completely transformed the world of work. Therefore, fewer people are needed in certain industries because of automation. So the question, the real practical and policy question that raises is, would you rather be in work or not in work? Okay. Now, when we address that question, you say, okay, I would rather be in work. Now, if you cannot get permanent employment because of the dynamics of the labor market, would you rather take on casual employment? You put food on the table, you maintain your dignity, and there's income coming in. It's not perfect. So in terms of broad principles, I don't think there's anything wrong with casual labor in broad terms, However, I must qualify that. casual labor is not an excuse and should never be an excuse for unethical practices, criminality, or bad activities at all. So the fact that one is a casual labor does not mean that they lose their rights as employees, because they are employees. I'll give you an example. In the UK, if you're a casual employee and you've been in employment for a continuous period of 12 months, okay, your employment is going to be deemed to be permanent, because it begs the question, casual labor by definition should be of a temporary nature. You shouldn't be doing casual labor ad infinitum, 3 years, 4 years. No, you have a right to go to court and seek to challenge the definition and the application of that term of casual labor and say, well, I've been in this organization for X number of years. Why am I still a casual employee? You can make the argument, and there's case law to support that.
You already took a peek into my next question that I will take after this break, so I'll keep it simmering on the board. For how long can you be a casual staff of an organization? For how long can you be a contract staff of an organization? Because I know someone who was a contract, when I say I know someone personally, I know someone who was a contract staff of an organization for 7 years. And I was wondering what was going on. Now, I do not know the full terms and condition of the agreement the person signed, so I might not be able to speak in full capacity. But I am saying, for how long can you be a casual staff or a contract staff of an organization? So we'll take that after this break. I see the phone line ringing. I will take your call after the break. Also, you can keep the messages coming to 0809 444 0981.
Keep listening to Smooth 98.1.
We're getting into it.
Yeah,
Big time.
I believe so. One of the reasons I decided to talk about this was a number of publications, a number of news articles, and also issues that you see on social media, and I would say the echoes of people, because you cannot remove the fact, like you said something. Would you rather be
Unemployed?
Yeah, or have a job? Now, people are desperate. Even the ones that are gainfully employed are struggling to have their job. So it's like, I would just give me something that will put money in my pocket. So in the process of that, they see, oh, you just rather take anything. So you make yourself a victim of exploitation.
Yeah, that potential is there.
And the other side is the one that just hurts. Who will you cry to? Who will give you an ears? To get a good lawyer, you'll agree with me, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but there are lawyers who do pro bono public work.
How do you find them?
You just approach any lawyer. It's a case of yes or no. Yes, I can do it. No, I can't. I've had people walk into my chambers who say, "Oh, sir, I need help on this issue." I mean, where I can, I help. Where I can't, I signpost them to organizations or other lawyers who may be able to take them on. So that's certainly happened in the past. And before now, I was on the list of the Nigerian Legal Aid Council, where you do some work on a pro bono basis.
Life's good.
Okay, so we come back, we answer that question and talk about for how long you can be a casual staff and also a contract staff, and then I'll take some thought and that will point to the part where reading the fine print.
OneXBet is a reliable bookmarker, so head up to onexbet.ng. Register with promo code Welcome Nigeria and get a huge welcome bonus on your first deposit right now. Have a chance to win. OneXBet gives you more. Maximum
To soothe the soul.
Strictly so.
I don't know if the conversation we're having right now is soothing your soul, really. But I know it has you talking, maybe discussing with whoever you have in your car, or maybe if you're in your workplace, it has you forming little groups and talking about things. We want you to talk about it. In fact, We want you to talk to us. So dial 01-448-9981. Again, 01-448-9981. Send your WhatsApp messages to 0809-444-0981. Again, WhatsApp is 0809-444-0981. If you dial our number, please remember to turn down the volume of your radio set. We don't want that interference or the feedback. And if you send your messages on WhatsApp, please include your name. Thank you. So quickly, let's answer that question of for how long can a person be a contract or a casual staff?
Okay. Thanks very much for that question. The short answer is that as far as contract staffing is concerned, there is no hard and fast rule about it, because we must recognize the very nature of employment relationships. Okay, they're governed by contracts, and a contract essentially is reinforced by an offer, an acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relations, and all of that. So long as the terms of the contract are clear to both sides, the employer and the employee, and it is agreed, and the consideration in terms of the salary and wages are established. It could be for 6 months, it could be for 2 years. There's no law in Nigeria, as far as I understand, which says, well, you can only employ somebody for 2 years, 3 years, as the case may be, because we also need to understand the dynamics of employment relationships, i.e., they are master-servant relationships. It's a terrible term, but that's what they are. So there's an element of control, and the law would imply certain obligations on both sides in relation to those contracts. And ultimately, the essence of that dynamic is that there is a controlling party, and that controlling party is the employer, which means that the employer can determine terms quite disproportionately. And it's a function of how effective and profitable the business is. So nobody anywhere in the world can compel an employer to say you must employ X for 5 years. No, if the business owner says, well, this business is not profitable, I can't do it, you can't compel them to do it lawfully or rationally. So you've got to be reasonable. There's an element of pragmatism there, which has to be taken into proper account.
Okay. Oh, I was just about to pick that call and it dropped. Please call back. I'll take your call, I promise. Once I see it, I will take it. 01-448-9981. All right, here we go. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Okay.
So I really want to appreciate your guest for speaking on this topic. And I just want to point out something, talking about work safety. I don't know if you've noticed this, very early in the morning or sometime late at night when it's dark. I mean, when it's dark, you see our road workers, like the road cleaners, working at that time without proper reflective or protective things in place.
Jacket.
Yes, what can your guest say about that? Because most of the times, seriously to me, I don't feel comfortable with that, because if you are not careful, you can run into death. So I just want you to say something about that. What can we classify that as? Because working at that time, is that what's supposed to be in their contract? And if that's the case, are they supposed to be working under such conditions? Because we are saying that, yes, when things like this are happening, we need to pick up, go to the right agency. And I believe this right agency, they see all these things as well.
Thank you for sharing, Gary. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks very much, Gary. That is a fabulous question you've asked. And can safety standards be enhanced in relation to formidable road sweepers? Of course it can be. Should it be enhanced? Of course it should be. Who is going to do it? I think there's a case there for public-private participation in that regard. not least because these are people at the front line, it's impossible to ignore them. They do fabulous work day in, day out, in all seasons. And I will cite an example of what I saw firsthand some years ago on the Third Mainland Bridge. Basically, there was an accident, and sadly, one of these formidable heroes, as I would call them, was knocked down. She didn't make it. She didn't make it. And this question, I think raises a fundamental issue, which I would respectfully and courteously urge the state authorities to revisit. It is necessary, it is apt, and these people are literally, quite literally, at the front line of service delivery in our community. So more should be done, more can be done, and I think the willpower needs to be exercised for them to have the relevant safety equipment which they require to do their work. I mean, seeing them on the fast lane or the slow lane on roads with cars driving at 100 kilometers per hour is scary. You'd never see that outside the country in progressive nations. And of course, our country aspires to be a progressive nation. Therefore, we must do the needful. Thanks for that question.
Okay, we can take more of your questions. 014489981 is the number to dial. 014489981, and WhatsApp is 0809-444-0981. On WhatsApp, Chosan says, "Good morning, Oluwaseun." Well, good morning to you too. She says, "Well, for me, I experienced this for a very long time before I decided to quit 9 to 5 and start my own brand. A lot of companies will tell you your job is 9 to 5, yet you can stay in the office beyond 5 p.m. They'll tell you, okay, we just need to get that back up. Okay, they'll tell you that you're the company admin when you're applying to work for them. But by the time you start the job, you will end up adding other job descriptions to your job that's not part of your job description. I remember when I worked for a multimedia firm years back, I was the head of administration, but I ended up being the company's head of admin, head of communications, and HR at the same time. I needed the job, so I just had to do it, even though I wasn't receiving any extra salary. See, that was where I was going earlier when I said people will definitely weaponize the helplessness, the economic depression, if I use that, and of course the joblessness out there. It's just normal. But before I take your thoughts on that message, I'll take this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and location, please? Thank you for calling. You can go ahead with your thought.
Thank you so much. I think 5 minutes ago, I just spoke into the conversation. Sorry, I didn't actually catch the name of the gentleman that was actually speaking there.
Femi Ojumu Esquire.
Femi
Ojumu Esquire.
Esq. Thank you. Right. Professionally, I'm a human capital development professional. I've been in the UK for, I have a business in the UK for over 20 years. In the areas of employment, skill acquisition, job creation, and all that. Now, in Nigeria, I came to establish in Nigeria, I think about 8 years ago tonight. And I reckon with some of the answers that Femi D gave out for some of the questions he asked. I think if you've been a fan of Channels TV, ABC, Arise, and sometimes a couple of times on CNN, I've actually been an advocate of how employers actually treat and deals with employees in this country. They have no voice, they don't share. Femi did mention earlier that complaints to the Ministry of Labour, Ministry of Environment, and right to the governor, and the reality is that it happened here. The Ministry of Employment and Productivity, who was supposed to be the voice of the people, NLC, Nigerian Labour Congress, who's supposed to be the voice of the worker, they've all shift away their core responsibility to become a political organization. So, if you subsidize an employer, if you insist on an employer, sorry, an employee, you have nowhere to complain to. I have applied to hundreds of job seekers who come to us and say, can you help me out? I need to change my job because I'm going through this sort of treatment in my working place. I work more than 12 hours, 15 hours, I don't get paid for it. Some employers put us in a situation where they're working environment where it's not conducive at all. There's no way you can complain. They will tell you if you complain, there are millions of you out there who look at the job, so you can complain. So the victimization is the oldest employee, the ill treatment, especially for foreign employers in the country, it's just gone to the peak. I was trying to speak to advocate. I've been on several TV stations as an analyst to complain about all the atrocities, the treatment, and all the issues going on. But it seems nobody wants to pick it up. So I personally, I think we should begin. There are laws in the country that actually protect workers. They have no voice. Nobody wants to take responsibility, I think, for an organization to actually fight for this thing. And it's so pathetic that some cases I do it myself as a company, and that we've actually written to some organization and telling them we're going to report them and we're going to take it up legally with them because of some attitude, some practice that they did before. So, I mean, I think it goes beyond having a ministry or a department responsible for the welfare of workers. It goes beyond that. We need to begin to look and hold people responsible for all this on behalf of the people in this country.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. We appreciate your contribution. Bye. Okay, so I will keep your thoughts simmering. Just make sure that you gather everything together. We have to take a break. And when we come back, we will let everything loose. You can also keep yours coming. You can send a WhatsApp message, or I cannot take a call at the moment after this break. I knew it that we were not going to have time. The phone line is still
getting
ringing.
hot.
Unfortunately, we don't even have much time. That was what,
Wow.
that was what I meant by
Okay.
we won't have
Now the time flies.
Business owner.
It's a live
especially
issue.
when
Yeah.
when it concerns issues like this that affect the everyday person.
There is no
Okay.
limit to the number of
The
job
time is
openings you
never
can
enough
advertise
because the truth,
to.
like he
Take
mentioned,
advantage of
Yeah.
this offer now.
yes, we are
Access to
aware of a
all
labor
offer
organization,
Yeah,
aware
yeah.
of the Ministry
But what
of
do they
Labor,
do?
but what do
They do. I get you. I get
who
you.
wants to
I get
listen
you.
in
I
the
get you.
situation where
Okay.
the poor man has no voice, and that is not even an
But we
addict?
must change that.
How
And that's
can
what
we
I'm going
change
to
that?
talk. Well, you engage lawyers who are ready to act on a pro bono basis, who can signpost and then take vigorous action at the National Industrial Court, which is an employee-friendly court. I mean, I've appeared there several times, and you've seen large organizations come to their knees in a figurative sense. Yeah. So it's
Unfortunately,
live.
we have just 5 more minutes.
Are you kidding me? Doesn't it finish 12? You got adverts and
11:50,
music.
so we have
Really?
adverts in between.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
we also have the news that runs at, so we have
Okay.
adverts at 11:50.
Wow.
So we need to
Well,
go.
perhaps we could do this some other time. No, it's
We could
it's a
actually
live
have
issue.
we could have the second part. I don't know how your schedule is,
Okay.
but if you're up for it, we could have the second part
Yeah,
next
I'm
week.
up for it. Next week. Can it be towards the end of the week? Thursday,
No, so
Friday?
this is fixed.
Oh, this is fixed for Tuesday.
Yes, for Tuesday.
Can we look at a fortnight?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll keep in
Yeah.
touch then.
Okay.
Airtel, the smartphone network. This is Smooth 98.1.
Yes, you're listening to Smooth 98.1 FM, and we have a very big topic right before us. Big in the sense that it is something affecting everyday persons. We have had your thoughts, we have had your calls, we've We're reading out your messages. Unfortunately, we do not have much time, but we'll try to squeeze everything in. Guess what? The good news is we will have a second part of this conversation. Maybe not next week, maybe in 2 weeks' time, but we will definitely have a second part of this conversation because we are aware of these issues. We're aware of maybe the organizations or the bodies that are meant to protect the people who are being exploited. But are they doing the work? And in the case of the everyday Nigerian or the poor person who does not have access or to the resources to hire a legal practitioner, how can they go about it? So I will quickly take your thought on all that has been said. My guest, by the way, is Femi D. Ojumu Esq, and he's a principal partner at Bailey Myers LP. So over to you.
Yes, thanks very much. I'll tackle Michael's question first. And the issue about victimization and exploitation is very real. And how do you tackle that? When I mentioned those departments, labor productivity, it was with the intention of negotiating, trying to find a win-win, if you like. In other words, litigation should not always be the first port of call. You need to explore alternative dispute resolution. So if you can do that, there is really no need to litigate. First point. Second point, we have lawyers in Lagos and around the country who are willing, ready, and able to take up advocacy on a pro bono publico basis for clients. So you just need to talk to a lawyer. You just never know. And if they don't have the capacity, they may be able to signpost you to another lawyer or non-governmental organization who can act on your behalf. 3, the National Industrial Court is an employee, it's a labor court. Some have described it as an employee-friendly court. Now, the fear of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, many would say, is the beginning of wisdom. Cut a long story short, they don't mess about, okay? They're very serious, very real, and the rights of appeal emanating from the National Industrial Court are very limited. In other words, it is efficient, and they often get to the heart of labor issues. So it's not unusual to find lots of businesses, foreign and local, who have acted in the most despicable manner, okay, in that court, being challenged robustly, an employee winning their cases, and where they've had to pay hefty damages, really hefty damages. So all hope is not lost. It is not perfect. I would call it as work in progress. But there are lawyers out there, there are organizations out there who can assist with some of these matters. And of course, we also need to look at the political dimension. We have legislators at the state level, at the federal level. What are they doing on employee protection, on health and safety at work? What are they doing? By the same token, there's an obligation on employees to engage with the democratic process. In other words, write to your member of parliament, write to your National Assembly member, engage them. That's what they're there for. And that's why they're paid with your money, our money, taxpayers' money. Write to them, engage them, talk to your local association. You need to be proactive and dynamic. That's what I'll say on that.
Oh, I'm just chuckling at your last statement. Blessed are you, lucky are you, if you can actually get a hold of your of your representative or your house of I don't know. We have a lot of issues to resolve, but I'll quickly take this last message from Cisco Delgado, who says Ministry of Employment and Productivity are all doing nothing with regards to employer-employee issues in Nigeria. Chinese mostly are taking advantages of the weaknesses to humiliate their workers in Nigeria. And it was one of the reasons I decided to talk about this. Unfortunately, we didn't even get to the part where we talk about the Chinese, the Lebanese, the Indians, and what you're doing in Nigeria. You know what? Maybe not next week, but maybe in 2 weeks time we'll break it down. And definitely one other thing we need to quickly address, maybe in 1 minute if possible, is the one raised by Tosan earlier. And then let me take this one from Oluwaseun, who says the biggest issues for me in the workplace in Nigeria is making employees work beyond their job description. Lying about health maintenance organization, which is HMO, when the organization doesn't even have any HMO. And lastly, overworking staff, employees working extra hours, yet you don't pay them for the extra hour. My first job just after leaving the university taught me this. I was employed as a service representative, yet I was also doubling as the organization's fleet manager. What even made it worse was every day I had to pick my boss's daughter from school. This isn't part of my job description. If he had said this wouldn't, if he had said this, I wouldn't have taken the job. I used to work extra hours, yet I never got paid for it. He lied that the company has a working HMO and they pay extra working hours, and they were lies. Okay, so I'm unable to get the remaining part of the message. He's trying to pull it up. Okay, so he lied. Well, it was a learning period and I was working there for 2 years. He taught me too much about the workplace environment in Nigeria. So definitely, this is the other part we need to quickly touch on. Just in some few words, what are some of those red flags you would say a person should be on the lookout for when you want to get into a job?
Thank you. I'll just be quick. Things you must look out for. Number one, look out for the reputation of the organization concerned. Talk to previous employees. Do your own independent research as to their quality, as to their mission and vision, but not only that, what they've actually done. Talk to, sound them out, do that. And also look out very carefully if they've got lots of industrial complaints and litigation matters. That should be an automatic red flag. Just walk away and obviously do your research very well. And, I say to people who are job hunting, yes, in your determination, not desperation, determination to get work, it's tempting to jump at the first offer, having been out of work for some time, but it could be a recipe for real problems. So the first offer is not necessarily the best one. So do your research properly, be diligent about it. And it may be that it's a second offer which makes more sense. That's what I'll say on that. And then in relation to, working extra hours, what you need to do, what I'll suggest, and I've done this in the past in previous employment, is go and speak to your line manager and try and engage them and just say to them, look, sir, ma, this is outside the terms of my contract. Could we look at that? What do you think about that? Make it clear. And if they're being unreasonable and irrational about it, then of course you must get your skates on.
Thank you so much. I wish we could take more, but like I mentioned, we'll have the second part of this conversation in 2 weeks' time. So please be a part of it. You can get keep it locked. That's why you need to follow us so that you get the notification when we will have this conversation again. In the meantime, you can find my guest on LinkedIn. Is very active on LinkedIn, and you can find his publications in the Guardian newspaper too. So on LinkedIn, you'll find Femi D Ojumu. You can go follow him there, where he shares his thought, and of course, he has the Guardian Law series and many other things. I think recently he just shared his thought on the Davos,
Yes.
the economic forum. Yes, and I think there was also one where he wrote about the national development versus the brain drain. So just go there to find more of his thought, and you can follow him there. We are done for today, but you can still find the video on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth91 FM Lagos. I'll be right back to play you more soul songs.
This is Gold Swagger on Smooth 98.
Whoa, I am 2 minutes over time. I ate into the ad time.
Thank you very much. Oluwaseun.
Thank you. It was such a
Super.
pleasure. So
Thank
I am
you.
looking forward to the second part because there were issues
Yes.
that are unresolved.
You laced up your
Absolutely.
sneakers,
Absolutely.
you got physical,
And
and
this
felt
is
the sweat.
serious.
We must do it. It's a hot topic, very hot topic, and it concerns everyone.
It is. It
It
does.
concerns
Rather, I have been
everyone.
in situations where, so the workplace is not much of a workplace, but it's run like a family house.
Yeah.
Because imagine having to kneel down to beg your employer.
I've heard that before.
It
I've
is
heard that
ridiculous.
before.
It is happening.
Yeah.
You have to literally
Including-
cry for your job.
Including in official circles. Yeah. Government departments, people actually kneel down
Makes
and
no
beg.
sense.
It's terrible. It shouldn't be happening at all. Shouldn't be
There's the
happening
option
at all.
of a 10
You know.
kilometer race.
No, there are lots of
Now,
issues
the
we
10
must get
kilometer
into on
race
this.
starts at the
Live
Hopefully,
issue.
at least somebody gets help.
Yes, that would be.
And the 42 kilometer race for
Thank
the
you.
Okay, let me end the stream.
Okay.
National Stadium in
Hopefully your
Surrey.
Oh no.
It's always a massive event.
I mean, with all that talk, your throat would definitely be parched.
Not forget
I